I'm going to move the camera around, and I'll probably be doing a lot of time-lapsing here for a little while. See you then. Here we are on what will be the barn side of the wall. One thing about form ties is they're really handy for being able to lay horizontal rebar across. They're really handy for that. Next step then is to build a bulkhead on each end and then finish tying in the rebar. These will have to be extended up to here, and then a couple rebar put in at the top. And then on this end here, this is where the 2-foot high wall will start, which is basically right at the chalk line here. So we'll have to stub out a couple of steel dowels here. By now you should have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing here. I've got one more bulkhead to put in the other end, finish up the bottom rebar, then I'll be ready to button up, and I'm running low on battery power. So I'm going to take this opportunity to take the camera in to charge the battery a little bit and maybe warm up for a few minutes, and then I'll come back out, and when it comes time to button up, hopefully I've got enough battery power you can watch me do it. Stick around. Daylight is quickly disappearing, so I want to get this buttoned up before it does. I'd like to have this all buttoned up today and have some minor things to do in the morning, and hopefully be able to start pouring by around 10 o'clock or so. I will be making the pour from the opposite side, so when I do the final bracing on this, the braces will go this direction. I'm going to try to make myself a ramp out of 2x12s that'll sit on the top whaler on the opposite side, and be able to just wheel that concrete right up that ramp and into the wall. Now, I'm not near as tough as I used to be at one time, so I'll have to have those wheelbarrows loaded pretty doggone light. But with these, with buttoning up, you start with the tie that is the most difficult one to access, which on this is going to be this one right here. The bottom row of ties you really can't manipulate a lot, so what you will do is to move your plywood around until you can match up a hole with a form tie. So that's what we'll do. The rest get a little easier because I can reach them. Next, a whaler. And then finish these bulkheads. Now, screws alone in those bulkheads aren't going to hold a great deal. Those that I just put in, so we're backing it with some additional reinforcement here. And we'll do the same on the other end. I'm not used to you being good and sticking this close. What's wrong? You want these to be fairly close to one of your ties. If you come too far out to the end, it could bow the whaler without moving the form a lot. These I believe I'm actually going to use nails instead of screws. See how close we are to being plumb. Yeah, the wall's going to have to go that way just a little bit. We're not too far off. Now to pull the one off that I put on the other side. Close enough to put in a couple screws, and then we'll make our final adjustments for perfection. Actually, I don't know how I could adjust that one to be any better. And this one needs to go out some. And we have achieved perfection there. I believe at this point I'll go ahead and pull the camera from the tripod and we'll just take a quick walk around it. I think it's ready to pour except for getting my ramp built. The one thing I do have to do is to shoot a grade in here that is level and put in a piece of chamfer strip, which is just a piece of 3/4 inch with a 45-degree angle on it. And I'll only do that on the inside face. I'll leave the outside straight since that'll all be covered up with lumber anyway. Let's take a look all the way around. So this is what we've got. This is the outside. We'll walk around, take a look at the bulkhead. Forgive my shadow there. See if I can do this without tripping on anything. And the bulkhead on this side. Now to build a ramp. I did do some mowing yesterday up there near where Gabby is sitting to where I can get a wheelbarrow in there. I'm just hoping that my ramp isn't so steep that it's difficult to push. We will time-lapse through the pour tomorrow. Have a good night. Good morning. Today is forecast to be a much better day than yesterday. In fact, the temperature is 32 degrees right now, which is warmer than it got all day yesterday. Yesterday was kind of a chilly day. So I've got everything ready to pour. In the background are the forms that you watched me work on yesterday. I built a ramp connected to the top whaler, and as long as I don't overload the wheelbarrow, that should support me just fine. I did a test run, and it looks like I can make it up there pretty easily. So I'm going to wait. It'll take me another hour or so to get ready. I have to fill my water barrel yet. Temperature's forecast to get up to around 50 today, and it's supposed to warm up pretty quickly, even in the next hour. So we should be in pretty good shape to pour. Gabby is wandering around, but staying pretty close to me, so she's being a pretty good dog. I'm going to have to change into my grungier concrete clothes, and I'll get back to you just as soon as we're ready to get started. The temperature is coming up nicely. It's about 40 degrees now, so it is time to get started. We'll see how long this takes, and hopefully I have enough concrete. Let's go into time lapse. Oh, the one thing that I found, my first two concrete pours on the footings tended to have the water come up on it. So what I'm doing now is mixing longer, and that's made really a pretty big difference. With the Sakrete, all your components are already combined, so that part doesn't take a lot of mixing, but the water needs to not only be mixed in, but to be absorbed by the cement in the mix. And a longer mixing time seems to help with that. So what I'm doing is I am loading the mixer. I'm going to pick up another 7 bags of the Sakrete, and then come back, and by the time I come back, it's had close to 10 minutes of mixing time. So that's how I'm doing it. Let's go. Hopefully you can hear me okay over my mixer. That has 21 bags in the wall, and it does appear that I'm about a third of the way up. So hopefully I've got enough concrete. I'm going to move the camera around and we'll take a look from a different angle. My helper. Well, I've got 49 bags in the wall, and it looks like that 60 bag estimate that Sakrete, or using Sakrete's calculations, is probably pretty good advertising. That looks like probably about what it's going to take. I've got another 7 bags in the mixer, bring me up to 56. And this last little bit I'm going to wet up just a little bit, just so I don't end up having to shovel the entire thing into the wall, and can just dump at least a little bit at a time. So keep watching. I'm approaching finishing. We can take a look at this process from the sky too. I think I'm pretty much beat. Jeff Foxworthy used to do a routine, or somewhere in his routine, where he would give some words in the Redneck Dictionary. So I'm going to use one here, one of the ones that I learned. And that is, at age 67, I don't think that I can do what I used to could. There it is. When I was age 45. Or maybe I can still do it, but I have to do it in a little bit smaller quantities and it takes me a little bit longer. But I'm not complaining because I love having the ability to still do it and still have enough creativity that I can figure out how to do something alone, because I really enjoy working alone. If anything goes wrong, it's all my fault, and I guess if it looks nice in the end, it's all my credit. One thing I did is to, about halfway up, I checked the walls for being plumb. I didn't really have to make any adjustment. I will check them again now if I need to adjust just a little bit. They can probably still be moved just a little without hurting anything. So I've got that to do. But I really want to thank you for being with me. I'm hoping in this there's something that you have learned, some information that you have gleaned. I really would like to think that I'm not doing this all for nothing. But even if I am, I've got cousins that like to keep up with me, so I'll just keep plugging away at it. Hit the thumbs up button down below if you would, please. For this episode, and if you haven't subscribed, I always appreciate a subscription. And something that helps with new subscriptions is by you telling a friend, so I appreciate that too. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.